Hello, this is Sia and welcome to another video. Today we are doing another story, but this is the second book of my Clockwork Chronicles series. We're going to start reading, and we're going to start about 1 week, probably more than about a month after the first book ended. About a month. And if you haven't read the first one, there'll be a playlist in the description and my card, of course. Be sure to read those and watch those and catch up on what happened. But basically I'm gonna read chapter 1 and then work on the live streams and read them there, or I could do videos versions. That's fine. But I normally do videos of something bigger like this. It doesn't normally do as well as if I do them in a live stream. So. But the short stories that I write are fine because those are short stories. And second book versions of the short stories will be out when I'm done reading this book, which is about 36 chapters long, so a little shorter, but not much. And if you notice my voice is sounding a little weird, I'm still recovering from my cold/voice burnout. My voice has been a problem, which is why I've been recording videos. Otherwise, I would have done this sooner. So chapter 1. We should probably get started. It was the final hour of a long school day, as now 17-year-old Samuel James, or better known as Sam, to his friends, waited patiently in his seat as the seconds ticked by. It was his study hour, and he'd gotten his homework done fairly quickly. But right there, as he leaned back on the back of his chair, watching his peers doing various different things, there were a few people diligently getting hard work done, while others could care less about their assignments. Kids were not allowed to talk during study hour, but the boy couldn't help but catch little snippets of whispered conversations between other students. The boy looked over at the clock, resting slightly above the doorframe, silently ticking down the time until school would finally be over for the day. But the boy wasn't really thinking about school at that time. He was thinking of things that he could never speak of unless he risks the safety of himself or his friends, both old and new. Sam glanced away from the clock and scanned the room one more time as he noticed some of his classmates' obvious restlessness. They weren't the only ones that were eager to get out of the school walls and be able to do anything they wished. As for him, that was far more complicated, since he had to hide secrets from some of his well-known friends, especially about where his younger brother, Liam James, had gone to. 4 weeks ago, the boy had returned home from an epic adventure, making new friends and risking everything to do the right thing, even if everyone else seemed to be against them. The boy closed his eyes, trying to recall everything. How he'd been transported to another world to evade capture, and how he was saved by his new friends from a horrible fate more than once, with the help of his new friends, as well as a brother. And now that he had returned home after the two villains that had caused them so much trouble had been locked away in a prison world, he knew that things could never be the same. And a part of him didn't really mind that, but it was the fact that two of his good friends, who had been with him since they had begun school, had to be left out of the secret to protect them from unforeseeable harm. He'd risked enough to help his new friends, couldn't imagine what would happen if those men managed to get to one of his other friends. His mind was interrupted by the shrill ring of the bell, which jolted him out of his seat as the other students rushed to leave the room as fast as they could, not paying the 17-year-old any mind as they exited the narrow doorway. Sam waited until most of them had gone out before he grabbed his bag and swung it over his shoulder, feeling rather confident about what lay ahead, as well as relieved that school was over. That he didn't like school. He saw the importance of it. He was just having a bajillion other things in his mind, and it really didn't seem all that important. Even though he was doing relatively well, he just didn't feel as committed to it as he used to, especially after his father loosened up the expectations a little bit. So long as he did his best, of course, and kept his grades up, he could do whatever he wished. Studying wasn't as big as a priority for him now as it had been months ago, when he'd only just found out about the YouTubers and the two groups that were trying to destroy them or protect them against the other group. Sam felt he was part of a cause led by Elijah White, or Eli for short. But after one of their own named Gerald betrayed them and accused one of his friends of being a traitor, he didn't truly feel as connected to the group. In a way, he was in his own group, standing to protect his friend from those who might wish him harm. The boy walked down the hallway, going towards his locker, knowing that he really didn't have to anymore. It was just routine after all. But as he did so, watching his kids pass by him, going towards the exit, he felt a shiver crawl up and down his spine. He wasn't sure why, but he felt as if someone was watching him. But who amongst the hundreds of kids would pick him out of the crowd? He pushed the thought out of his mind and went over to his locker, opening it as he tossed his bag to the ground. He opened it and took out some of the folders and books that he didn't need until he was satisfied. Glancing one more time in his locker to make sure he didn't miss anything, he closed it behind him and grabbed his bag again, planning to go outside and head towards the edge of town. Not to his home, but somewhere where he would be able to communicate with his brother, who was far away in a different world, in a different school that was based on the idea of training kids to protect the YouTubers. He knew his brother was happy there, but he did miss him, and he was glad to be able to have a small part of the day devoted to talking with him. But before he got very far, he heard a familiar voice calling out his name. The boy turned around to see a short boy with straight, chocolate brown hair and deep brown eyes to match the slighter, darker tone. The shorter boy smiled when the older boy saw him. "Sorry to keep you," the boy said quickly, "but I was wondering if you had a little bit of time today." "What do you need help with, Brian?" Sam asked, coming over to his friend, looking over his shoulder slightly, but seeing nothing out of the ordinary. It was always good to be careful, since he never knew when something or someone might come out of nowhere and try to attack. Not that anyone would in a school building. "Well, we still have some crates left at home. We moved most of everything, but I can't move them by myself, and I don't want to ask my grandparents' help because, well, you know," the boy said nervously, putting a hand behind his head in a worried gesture. I don't know what happened there. Retainer. Let's blame it on the retainer. Their health has been dwindling in the past few months, and it's hard to take care of them on my own, since we just about moved into their new home at the nursing home. I wanted to make sure everything was good for them before I moved in with my new foster family. Sam swallowed and nodded, knowing just how much had happened to his friend in the time that he'd been gone. Brian had been adopted by his grandparents after his parents had passed away when he was really young, and had been taking care of him ever since. But the older boy knew it would only be a matter of time before they wouldn't be able to live at home by themselves and take care of a boy as well. Of course I can help you. The other boy's face brightened at the boy's statement. Oh, why am I saying boy so much? Really? You'll do that? Your dad's okay with it? Yeah. He'll understand, Sam assured him with a nod. Shall we get going then? I'm sure you're going to need to get those crates taken care of sooner rather than later. Yeah, Brian agreed, a sad tone in his voice. But I kind of wish Liam was here, you know? I know what you mean. Sam agreed, seeing the boy's sadness and understanding how he had to be feeling. Liam would have done the same thing he did, and no doubt he'd done his best to help Brian, but since Liam wasn't here, things didn't seem quite the same anymore. But I'm keeping in touch with him, and he's pretty happy with the private school he's at now. Brian smiled. I'm glad. He's really smart, isn't he? There's more to him than smart. The elder boy smiled genuinely. They walked down the hallway, coming to the main exit, but Sam said nothing more when he brought up a different topic. To steer away from his brother. Fair move. Have you gotten the chance to meet your new foster family yet? Ryan shrugged. Once, but to be honest, it still feels new to me. Sam chuckled. Of course it does, but I'm sure you'll get used to it. Yeah, the younger boy replied, and I really appreciate that you're willing to help me. You didn't have to. Don't mention it, Sam said matter-of-factly as they left the school building and went down the path, passing by townspeople of all ages as they did so. Sam felt more relaxed with his friend, especially when he was around a crowd like this. It was a busy time of day, and no doubt it would be a few more hours before the stores would close for the day. They turned a corner into the neighborhood area and walked past several houses, Sam looking up and down the street, noting that there weren't as many people wandering these parts. They were thinning out, farther and farther away they got from the next center of town. It didn't take long for before the two boys got to the near empty house that used to belong to Brian's grandparents. It looked sad sitting there, all alone. A couple of boxes sitting in front of the porch next to a cart that was just about full. How about you help me get these in the car and we can push it to the nursing home from there, Brian suggested softly. It was my idea from the start, and it would have made it easier, but boxes are pretty heavy. Sam rolled up his sleeves and nodded. All right, then. Let's get to it. The boys worked together to lift the boxes into the cart, and Sam pushed the cart down the pathway onto the street, using all the strength he could muster to push the cart down the road. Brian helped them along the way as they rounded one corner and then another, till they were approaching a relatively small building that had a sign in front of it, letting them know that they had arrived at their destination. As they arrived at the door, a nurse came out and asked the boys a few questions, which they responded to politely, before she insisted on taking the cart to where Brian's grandparents were staying. The boys watched as the doors closed behind her as Sam turned to a relieved Brian. Well, that was the word, was it? Sam said at last, in a quiet and relatively calm area of the nursing home. In the quiet and relatively, Certainly, Brian sighed. Though I kind of wish I could see my grandparents for one more goodbye. You'll be able to see them soon, the elder boy reassured him, putting a gentle hand on his friend's shoulder. I'm assuming you're going to your foster family's home? Yeah, it's the house It's the house at the near end of where the neighborhood ends and the woods begin. The boy said with a sad smile. You want to meet them? If you don't mind, Sam offered, but I do have some important things today that really can't wait. Oh, Brian said, lowering his head as he looked down at the ground. Another time then? Maybe tomorrow, Sam offered gently. Okay, Brian said with a smile. Could we see if Connor can come too? Sam winced at the name of his other friend. For the past few weeks, their relationship was rather rough. Connor hadn't seemed impressed that Sam had extra time and asked many questions about where Liam was and when he would come home. His friend had felt that he was hiding something from them, which was true, but the boy didn't seem to realize that maybe it was better not to know. If he wants to. Brian nodded. I know it's been pretty rough for you two lately, but you gotta get it together. You're friends after all. I understand that, Sam replied. It just, well, Connor just needs to learn to trust me a little bit. It's hard enough to have to go day in and day out knowing your brother is miles away and having questions asked over and over about it just puts pressure enough as it is. Well, maybe this will be when you guys figure it out. Brian shrugged. Sam smiled. We're getting there. It's just taking far longer to make up for lost time than I realized. Don't worry about it, Brian said confidently. You're doing your best, and that's what mattered most for me. Really? Sam asked, looking at him quizzically. Brian nodded. Yeah, really. Then I guess I'll get back to your home and be on my way, Sam said with a sharp. That's good with me, Brian said brightly. It didn't take long before they had arrived at a small home at the end of the woods, and Sam watched as Brian walked to the house. Looking back to wave at his friend, Sam waited until he was inside before he began walking off towards the woods. Brian set on where he was going. He knew that his friend was probably right, and that sooner or later Connor would understand that he just needed a bit of time. Then again, things had been awfully weird lately. Sam wasn't so sure on how long he would be able to stay until it got too dangerous for him, and he would be once again forced to leave everything he knew. He just hoped it wouldn't be soon. Well, I managed. That's chapter 1. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. And yeah, I definitely need to rest up my voice for a little longer. But yeah, I gotta do something. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for the next one. But yeah, depending on how well I'm doing, probably a potential stream in the future about this, reading to chapter 2 and onward. Yeah. Yeah. Because this series is definitely interesting. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.